I want to ask everyone a question. In your opinion, what should determine if a champion is the worst champion in League? Is it based on win rate? Should the champion with the lowest win rate be called the worst champion? Or is it based on design, a champion with a poorly designed kit? How about popularity if they have a good win rate? If no one plays a champion, should that be the deciding factor for worst champion? If it wasn't apparent, choosing a proper criteria for giving the label of worst champion in League is a nebulous task, for an argument can be made in favor of or against a champion on any basis. There are no shortage of problematic champions in this game, and I feel like it would be presumptuous of me to claim any one champion is the single worst. But in my mind, a good way to go about it would be to find the champion with the lowest amount of win conditions they can play toward, if not outright just one, and even if they pursue that one win condition to the best of their ability, that still returns a negative EV or expected value in the long run. It's either that, or the champion can't really accomplish anything that can't also be accomplished by someone else more efficiently. After mulling it over for a while, I came to the conclusion that Nasus would fit that criteria the best. One of the oldest champions in the game and one of the most recognizable, no doubt, owing to his unique playstyle and the endless amount of Trick 2G clips.
Boom! Oh lordy, don't worry, you're gonna get the ankle breaker again. Boom, baby, Lego down.
Despite the iconic legacy he bears though, Nasus might very well be one of the most unsuccessful champions in League by every metric possible, even down to the very experience of playing him. So for today, we're going to be looking into why Nasus is quite possibly the worst champion in modern League of Legends. Looking through all 173 champions in the game, what allows each and all of them to succeed in ways Nasus cannot is that they're either the best at what they do, they can do multiple things, or they're the only ones who can do what they do, sometimes all three. Even if a champion were to be a jack of all trades, master of none, the fact that they can wear more than just one hat adds an element of versatility to them, enabling them to adapt to changes in circumstance. For example, when looking at all the super health scalers like Mundo, Sion, Cho'Gath, and Tahm Kench, each of them are distinct in ways that make them excel in a certain field, beyond the capacity of being a humongous meat shield that takes an hour and 13 minutes to kill. Likewise, all the enchanter supports carry a different assortment of utility spells that give them the edge over each other depending on the situation. Same applies to all hook champions, all mages, all assassins, all marksmen, what have you. In theory, the same should apply to Nasus, right? After all, each of his abilities are among the best individual abilities of their respective types. However, when put in the context of him specifically, he's the only champion whom I can't in good conscience say that he achieves any one of the three aforementioned traits, being the best, the only one, or being able to do multiple things. To be fair, this wasn't always the case. I would sooner have given that title to pre-reworked Dr. Mundo or Yorick, but obviously they've since gotten reworked along with a lot of other champions that could have earned this moniker like Nunu, Aatrox, or God Poppy, so on and so forth. The Visual Gameplay Update initiative did wonders in modernizing the majority of League's old problematic champions, giving them meaningful distinction and purpose. Amidst all of that, they kind of forgot to include Nasus in that department. Let's begin by breaking down the primary, or should I say only win condition he can pursue: stacks, that is all. No matter what situation or what role or whatever, whether top Nasus or jungle, the only thing he can work towards in League is powering up his Q. Siphoning Strike adds bonus damage to his next auto attack equal to a flat amount plus the number of stacks he currently has, of which every time his Q kills a target, he permanently gains 3 or 12 stacks depending on the entity type. The idea is that over time, Nasus will gradually deal more and more damage with his Q without having to buy DPS items, and then eventually in the mid to late game, he can do enough damage to one-tap anyone on the enemy team. On paper. Given that nothing in his kit has any meaningful scaling whatsoever, and the fact that he gets bonus damage by existing, Nasus typically runs a full tank build after getting a Spellblade item. That way he can be bulky as hell and nuke you for half your HP. Sounds like a dream come true at a glance, until you realize how impractical this actually gets. Nasus was overpowered back in the days when damage wasn't anywhere near as inflated as it is now. True damage, percent health damage, innate armor penetration, and whatnot were much rarer back in the day. So if you were to throw 2025 Nasus back into 2012, he would most definitely steamroll over the entire game like nobody's business. But the reality of the current state of the game is that even in a perfect situation, Nasus will almost always be behind other juggernauts even when judging by effective power. These days, the expected amount of stacks you should have by 20 minutes is about 600 and 1000 by about 30. Not factoring reduction from armor, that means by 30 minutes, a single Nasus Q should be doing around the ballpark of about 1400 damage to a single enemy every 2 seconds. That may seem like a lot until you realize damn near every other fighter can do that amount of DPS, if not more, in most situations. Keep in mind, Siphoning Strike is the only significant damaging ability in his kit, meaning Auto Q is the most damage you'll see from this guy per second. Compare that to say an Alawi WQ, which can do upwards of 15% max health damage and 2 or more tentacle slams. Alawi can probably chunk you for the same amount of DPS, or heck, most of the champions can do the same. I'm aware that fighters generally are more burst oriented, whereas the dog's more of an all-in bruiser. But applicably speaking, even if you have 1200 stacks by 30 minutes, you're actually not doing that much more damage than the vast majority of the competition in the game. And remember, that's if you've been stacking well for 30 minutes. The reason the Juggernaut class is so effective is because they don't need that many items to still pose a threat to you. A 2-item Darius can 1v1 a lot of 3-item champions because he has so much base power in his kit that going even Strikebreaker Deadmans will enable him to brute force his way through a lot of people. Nasus does have base power in his kit, but it's contingent on getting enough time to CS. If he doesn't, then not only do you fall behind most other champions in damage, but he doesn't have any other way to make an impact on the game. What's ironic is that Juggernauts are meant to be excellent tank busters by virtue of their high base damage and often having elements of true damage, percent health damage, armor shred and whatnot in their kit. But funnily enough, the best way to shut down Nasus is with a tank because he actually sucks at killing tanks. The only source of tank busting in his kit is Spearfire, which to be fair is one of the most powerful abilities in the game in concept. On top of an insane AP ratio, effectively making it like Anivia's ultimate on a basic ability, it can shred up to 50% of the target's armor while they stand inside it, the single highest source of armor reduction in the game. Two problems to that however. One, the only damaging attack in his kit is Q, nothing else does damage in his kit, so even with his ultimate bringing his Q cooldown to like 1.5 seconds, it takes quite a bit of time for him to actually kill a tank even through Spearfire, and that is assuming the tank stands inside Spearfire for the entire duration. If they step outside of it, they can face tank 20 Qs and still be alive. A more effective source of tank busting would be one that say Garen or Darius have, as it's guaranteed. Nasus practically never builds Black Cleaver either because it would simply take too long to stack, and he also can only ever target one person at a time, making him even worse of a tank buster if the enemy team has multiple frontliners. He has no choice but to fight them since they obviously won't let him walk past them to get to their carries, but Nasus takes arguably the longest to actually kill tanks than most other tank busters in the game. Moreover, a lot of tanks can actually outduel Nasus in the early to mid game. Many of them deal ability damage, making Wither a non-issue for them, and they also have a fair degree of percent health damage. Sion, Cassante, Shen, Malphite, and Ornn all have a winning record against him because they can put the pain on him before he gets to scale. Therein lies the biggest problem DK struggles with to this day. You can stack his Q until you're blue in the face and still be less effective than a champion carrying similar overall pressure for their team but doesn't have to spend 20-30 minutes AFK farming and hoping to get a chance to make it. Riot making his Q stack faster and easier than ever before is an acknowledgement that he gets outscaled by other fighters, and even on the off chance he can overpower an enemy top laner in a 1v1, said enemy top laner can contribute more against your team than you can contribute against the enemy team. Again, all Nasus can do is walk up to a target and bonk them to death. He can't really do much else for his team than that. Up until this point, I'm sure many people are wondering why I never brought up the real threat of his kit yet, his W. Credit where it's due, Wither is one of the most overpowered basic abilities to ever exist, period. 700 range point and click 5 seconds slow that goes up to 95% and an attack speed cripple for up to 70%. If you use this Wither on any auto attack based champion that isn't Master Yi, you can kiss your DPS goodbye. It may as well be a 5-second stun at that point. But somewhat unfortunately for him, fortunate for us, Nasus can't even take advantage of his own W that well. The first 2 to 3 seconds of Wither are spent walking up trying to catch up to his opponent, at which point you have only maybe 2 Qs to kill your target before they get the opportunity to just run away. I know with enough ability haste you can give Wither near permanent uptime, but the only time you can really get the full value of his W is if you're fighting a melee auto attacker 1v1. Outside of that, it's not as much of an omni-negate as you would think. Even if you manage to tag a priority target with Wither, if they have a dash they can just jump over the wall and not care, or their teammates can try to peel you away from them. Also, Wither is practically irrelevant against champions who use neither auto attacks nor tempo to do anything. Katarina, for example, couldn't care less if she was tagged by Wither or not. With most champions having a burst rotation combo, that also diminishes the practical efficiency of Wither. They can blast you with their full combo and then either run away, or by the time they did their full combo on you, you're so injured that just a few more hits will kill you anyway. You can handle that a bit better in the mid to late game when you build tank items, but unless you full commit to split pushing with no regard for helping your team, in the mid to late game multiple enemy champions will blast you in the face with their attacks, not just one. Unsurprisingly, Nasus is even less relevant in teamfights than he is against a single opponent, and again, that's assuming you had enough time to stack properly. He takes an inordinately long time to play run to back, and anyone who can kite him or push him away like a Syndra QE or Janna Q or any hard CC to lock him down will only make him take that much more time to get to the target he can actually two-shot. By all accounts, he is one of the worst team fighters in the game. Other primarily single target juggernauts can navigate a teamfight better than he can. Trundle at the very least has 2 very useful teamfight spells. Subjugate to steal the enemy frontline's durability, and Pillar of Ice to control the battlefield. Udyr and Volibear both have point-and-click hard CC, automatically making them a threat to the enemy team if they can get close enough. Mundo has % health damage on his Q, and with enough bonus health, all of his attacks can do hundreds of damage compared to Nasus, who can only do that much with his Q. Plus, Mundo's way bulkier than Nasus point for point. He has a projectile to poke enemies in neutral, and he can body block enemy hard CC with his passive. Nasus might be a very meaty frontline, especially with his ultimate, but if you're looking for a frontline, you might as well play an actual tank. Okay, clearly Nasus wasn't meant for teamfights, so you might defend him by saying I'm grading him the wrong way. Except even if I were to grade him in a 1v1 scenario, the problem is still there. DKing is not even close to being in the top 10 best split pushers in League, let alone top 5. A common misconception people have towards what it takes to be a good split pusher is to kill towers quickly, but that's only one component of what makes a good split pusher, and honestly a pretty insignificant one at that. Taking towers in League has never been easier than it is now. We avoid Grubs, Hullbreaker, Demolish, Rift Herald, anyone can become a split pusher. What matters more than tower taking speed are 3 factors. 1. Pushing speed, aka wave clear. You have to be able to shove a lane quickly and get to your point of interest. Nasus takes a long time to push, not just because he has no wave clear, but also because even at 35 minutes you still have to keep stacking your Q, otherwise you'll fall behind. Naturally, he'll want to last at every minion with Q, which takes time for the enemy team to respond against you. 2. 1v2 pressure. The champion has to be strong enough to handle a 1v2, since obviously in order for a split push to be profitable, you have to make the enemy team commit more resources to deal with you than your team commits to having you split push. Nasus is pretty lousy at 1v2ing. He can only exert the full force of his pressure against one person at a time, and given the nature of the champion, even if he's well stacked, it will take a while for him to kill most champions, especially if both are decently bulky, at which point he's gonna lose. To be a good 1v2er, you have to either take out both champions by yourself, or number 3, be able to disengage and re-engage at a moment's notice. Nasus is completely immobile. He can't run from a 1v2, for even if he wins one champion, the other can go straight after him. Split pushing was never about taking towers quickly. Anyone can 2-shot towers in the late game now. It's how well you can force the enemy team to respond against you, and to respond in a way that backs them into an extremely uncomfortable position. Teams are more afraid of a Tryndamere, Irelia, Kayle, Yone, or Fiora split pushing than Nasus. Far too much has to go right for Nasus to truly be a better pick over any other champion in the game that it begs the question, why even play him at all? Down in Pistol, where you'd expect a champion like him to thrive, he's actually not that great there, stuck at 50% win rate. Meanwhile, in high elo, he's like perma bottom 5. Ultimately, what you end up with is a champion who can get shut down in 25 different ways, whether directly in lane by smart enemy laners, or by the team in the mid game, or during late game where everyone one-shots each other anyway. Even if, on the exceedingly rare chance you get to make it to late game with a reasonable amount of stacks, the sheer limitations in the champion's own faculty make it difficult to fully exercise your patiently acquired power. And even if you're in a position to actually exert the pressure you spent all game trying to accumulate, you can still be weaker than a considerable amount of the competition. I would say the only circumstance where Nasus truly outskills everyone is if everyone's at full build and he's at like 2k stacks. Obviously, at 2000 stacks, no amount of tank items can protect you, but where in hell will a team sit and wait for you to farm for an hour? Not even in Bronze do you get enough time to do that. The game has been balanced around having a soft endpoint, the Elder Dragon. In a full-blown 5v5, Elder Dragon is so game-deciding that you'll notice games going past 45 minutes are few and far between nowadays. When combining Dragon Soul, Baron, Otacon, and Elder Drake, you really can't stop a team with all those combined, I don't care who you are. Nasus might very well be the only champion in League with a negative EV. In the long run, the average player will lose more games than they win by playing Nasus because the champion is just so bad in this day and age. He needs a rework, desperately. If there's ever a champion who you can say they got power crept, it's this guy. You know you're screwed when, despite being a noob stopper champion, you're still barely hovering a 50% win rate in low elo. What do you guys think about him though? Do you agree or disagree with my stance that he's the worst champion in the game? And if you disagree, who would your choice be? Let me know in the comments down below. That's it for today, so if you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate it if you'd like to like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Vars, join my Discord server, and check out my other champion discussion videos if you haven't yet. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.